Earlier this week, I went to see a client and she gave me a letter. She was very, very distressed. It was from Barclaycard. She's had a Barclaycard for 40 years, saying, we're advising you that due to Brexit, we will be closing your account at 11 p.m. on the 31st of December 2020.
This is BayRadio.
I've said it a few times already this morning on Facebook posts and on air here. A timely appearance by Christina Brady from Black Tower Financial Management, due in anyway this week.
Yep.
So welcome back, because that was looks like a pretty dramatic day yesterday on the markets all round. It's a big falls. It looks like they've been halted now, but
I think it was the fault of what they're calling them, the two Ronnies of doom. What are their names? Whitty and Valance, who made the speech yesterday. What it is the markets fell heavily on the threat of lockdowns. In the UK, they're saying there could be widespread lockdowns, and the economy in the UK is so bad, a lockdown could tip it over the edge. It was just starting to recover. Most companies had the worst year ever. They're just recovering over the last 2 months. Then they come out and say, we need to lock it down. It's quite heavy-handed. The markets fell yesterday. 3.3% the FTSE was down, and 3.98% the FTSE 250. Sterling also went down. It was 108.7. I don't know if it still is, and that was mainly on the Brexit, no deal Brexit news. So you've got a double whammy. Usually if the stock market falls, the exchange rate goes up and vice versa. But as we've got Brexit affecting the exchange rates, and see coronavirus as well, but coronavirus is mostly affecting the markets because it's affecting the economy.
Sure.
I think, governments have got to accept the fact that this is a version of the flu. It's going to be around not just for this year, for every year. They can't keep on locking down economies every year. People need to work, people need to earn money, governments need to get money through taxes. And I think it is slightly heavy-handed. In the UK, they're not paying a blind bit of notice to it anyway. If you look at all the universities, all the new people and all the university students are all out drinking still. Rule of six. How do you know one group of six isn't mixing with another group of six in the pub? They're so near to each other. So Boris is going to make a statement today.
Yeah, that's tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, that's tonight. So let's see. And what they're worrying about is it's really projections versus reality. These duo came out and said, we're going to see 200 deaths a day from November. Last year we got even worse than that, the doom, and it never happened. I think what you've got to do is you've got to marry the two together, and you've got to stop scaring people, because then they blame people because the economy's not going, when the papers and the politicians have scared everyone. Obviously, take precautions if you're elderly, if you're infirmed, if you've got underlying health conditions of any conditions or any age. If you've got underlying health conditions, take precautions. But that's what happened yesterday in the markets. They have come back slightly this morning. The FTSE's up, not a lot though. I wouldn't say it's, it went to 5804. It's now 5829. It's up nearly 0.5%. Same for Europe. That's nearly up for 0.5% as well. We'll have to see what other news comes out during the day. It's similar to when Theresa May was in power. One bit on Brexit, the markets fell. Now it's anything to do with CV19 or Brexit. So as I said, we've got two factors playing.
Yeah, I guess you get used to it now. If you're talking about the sort of that W shape of the markets, but it must be frustrating because it makes it back over that 6,000 threshold, and then it back down again, and then back up. The same in Spain. I mean, I don't know how much you go by the IBEX 35.
Yeah, the IBEX.
That's over that 7,000 threshold. It's well under it at the moment, but heading back up this morning.
Yeah, it's now at 6716.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's the same as it's been. Well, gosh, how long have I been saying this? We're really travelling along a 6,000 line. We went down to under 5, sprang back up to 6, and we're going 6-1, 6, 5, 9, 5, 8, 5, 9, 6. And it's really a constant heartbeat going along. We are obviously going to see worse news as we get into October, November. Flu season starts October, goes from October to March. So you're going to see a pickup in figures, normal flu figures, other flu figures. Deaths always go higher in the autumn. If you look, NHS every year is stretched because of flu, because of this. They haven't got enough beds, they haven't got enough this, they haven't got enough that. It's things that happen year on year, except they've been exacerbated the last 2 years. And also, we've got huge redundancies on the way.
Yes, and maybe, one was certain with the end of the the furlough scheme,
Well,
etc.
27% of UK firms expect to be laying off staff in the next 12 months. And if you just look at the figures that have come out, John Lewis, they made a 635 million loss, the first time since World War II. No bonuses for people. Next, 300 million loss, and they've cut wages. Lufthansa has cut more jobs and reduced its fleet. Iron Brew maker Bar has had an 8% slide in revenue. You've got Premier Inns, they're laying off 6,000 people. Their total sales for this year are down nearly 77% because obviously it's mostly on hotel accommodation. So it does look quite dire, and the City of London is laying off left, right and centre. One good thing is Co-op are going to open 50 new stores because there's a big sexual demand for loo rolls.
Yeah.
So,
and lots more positions created at Domino's Pizza as well, I noticed the other day.
Takeaway, things like that are going to obviously not take a hit. But traditional businesses, retail businesses, anything to do with the travel agents, travel business, anything to do with leisure industry.
Yeah, the hospitality sector, a bit like in Spain, obviously, that's a big part of...
it's just being absolutely crucified, and they need to do something to prop up these industries. A number of people losing their jobs. And as you said, furlough comes to an end. People who've been living it up on their money for nothing are now going to find out they've got nothing for nothing, and it's going to kick home. So once autumn comes in, it's usually a bit doomy and gloomy in autumn. I think this autumn could be a bit more doomy and gloomy than normal.
So that's where we're at with the markets, and big plunges yesterday, but they've been halted. Looks like we're climbing back up a little bit this morning. That exchange rate is at 109 at the moment. On the markets, So that's the euro to sterling latest. But just want to get onto this that we had in our Spanish news yesterday about expats living in Europe, in the EU, with UK bank accounts, which they could still do. We used to have the branches over here, of course. That they may face losing those at the end of the year if nothing's hammered out at the last minute to sort out pan-European banking regulations. This
is very, very true. Earlier this week, I went to see a client, and she gave me a letter. She was very, very distressed. It was from Barclaycard. She's had a Barclaycard for 40 years, saying, we're advising you that due to Brexit, we will be closing your account at 11 p.m. on the 31st of December 2020. That was it. And she said, is this true? And I said, well, it could be. I said, let me go away and check. So I phoned up Barclays and they confirmed, and so did Lloyds, that because of Brexit, what happens at the moment is these banks, it's not only banks, it's credit card companies, and it's also financial advisors in the UK. They passport into Europe. So being part of the EU, they are allowed to sell their services and their products or give them to people who live in the EU. If we have a Brexit with a no deal, at the moment, let me just put it this way, none of the deals on the table actually cover financial products. So it's something that's going to have to be negotiated separately. It means that they will lose these passporting rights. So it means that people in Europe who can no longer hold a Barclaycard, a UK or any credit card, or a UK bank account unless they have a UK address. Now that is key. Hear me out. Unless they have a UK address. NatWest and Santander have said they are waiting. They're not sending out letters yet. They're waiting to see what happens. Santander, as we know, has branches here. NatWest is Royal Bank of Scotland. So for some of them, they're saying they're going to close the accounts on the 16th of November. Others are saying at 11 p.m. on the 31st of December 2020, unless you have a UK residential address. So that means your bank accounts will be closed. Doesn't matter how many years you've had them, how much money you've got in them. This lady had a letter saying, you've got so much money, can you arrange for this to be transferred out? She's got a rental property in the UK that she rents. That money needs to go into a bank account in the UK. It won't be able to if they close her bank account. So it's very, very distressing. And I think the banks are very irresponsible because they've known about this for ages. They could have taken steps to warn people about this sooner, and they could have put processes in place to stop this happening. At Blacktown, it's the same for us. We use passporting via Gibraltar to do business in across Europe. We knew that if there was a no-deal Brexit and that the financial side wasn't being discussed, that unless you were authorised to do business in the country you want to do business in the EU, you can't. So therefore, we've got authorised by every authority in every country. Sorry. And also, we have set up another head office within the EU, so we don't have to passport in. from the UK. And the banks could easily have done this. They could have maybe used Ireland and switched the accounts to Ireland. I don't know the logistics of it, but at least they could have given people more warning, telling them now when there's literally, 2, maybe 3 months to go, that they've got to do something. It just isn't good enough. And the way things are going, it does look like there will not be a deal on the financial side. It's also going to impact people who have investments in the UK. I have had at least in the last month, half a dozen, if not more, people contact me who have been contacted by the UK financial advisors saying that they will no longer be able to service them after the 31st of December because they won't be able to passport in, and also their professional indemnity insurance will no longer cover them to do business in Europe. So we're having to look at that. Also, if some of you invest on your own in platforms, you may not be able to do that. Also, certain funds can no longer be used in Europe. If you have funds that begin with an ISIN code, it's a code how you distinguish what a fund is. It is every code has got a unique ISIN code, every fund. If it begins with GB, some of those will not be able to be used in Europe. So these companies are setting up new sort of funds in either Ireland or Luxembourg. So they'll begin IE or U. If you have those, you don't have to worry. But there is a lot, and people need to act now. They need to look at their finances. They need to look what they have in the UK. And what we do at Blacktails, we do a holistic approach. When people come to see us, it's not just what have you got we can invest, what pension have you got. It's what what wills you have, what life assurance, what accounts you have in the UK. Are you properly equipped for life in Europe? And we go through what the rules in Europe are regarding in Spain or France or wherever you are regarding taxation, what accounts you can have, what's tax efficient, what's not tax efficient, and then we try and make you as tax efficient in the country you're living in, because what's tax efficient in the UK is not tax efficient in Europe. And now we've found that some of the stuff you have in the UK will now no longer be able to be held in Europe. But it is definitely true at the bank accounts and about credit cards. So those of you that have been using a Barclay card, if it has a address in Europe, you should be receiving a letter in the post saying they're going to be closed down. As I said, unless you've got a UK residential address, they will be doing this.
And presumably, if you need to transfer that money out when the account's closed, they're not going to be necessarily friendly with the rates.
Well, if you
have to move it to sterling,
you can open a sterling account in Spain.
Oh, you can?
You? Yes.
Okay.
All the banks here will offer you a sterling account, so you can transfer into a sterling account here. But the problem is, if you don't have a UK bank account, what they're saying is post-Brexit, some of the pension companies will not be able to pay your money over into the EU. So it has to go into a UK bank account, and then you transfer it to Europe. So we have to see if that's going to come into force, because if it is, it's going to cause lots of problems for people getting their pensions. Not for state pensions, because the government can automatically pay those and convert them into euros and pay them over here. But some private pensions, you may find you have a problem receiving your money. But as I said, it's not scaremongering, it's not fake news. I've checked with Barclays, I've seen the letters that are coming out. It is definitely happening. So please beware. You should receive letters in the next 4 to 6 weeks if you haven't already received them.
Are there any alternatives? Like, you see these online banks, online only. How do they work? Would that still be the same?
It depends. You'll have to look at their terms and conditions.
Right.
There are some that operate throughout Europe. I think it's Revolut.
I don't know. There's quite a few, isn't there?
There's quite a few. But if you check their terms and conditions, you may need to look at opening one of those bank accounts. And please act sooner rather than later. I'd rather you open a bank account now, just put £50 in so it's there. If anything, if it all does fall apart at the end of the year, you've got something to fall back on. Rather than at the end of the year, you're thinking, oh my God, what can I do? I'm really, really stuck. So please, look at it now. Don't panic. Don't run around like headless chickens going, oh my God, oh my God. You have got a few months to sort this out. But please do not bury your head in the sand. If you have a UK address, please use that UK address. If you have a property in the UK that's yours, or you can you use a UK address, make sure your bank accounts have that address, and then you won't be getting this letter. But if they know you're anywhere in Europe, in France, Spain, Italy, Germany, you will be receiving these letters. Certain companies have certain countries on their list. So not every country in Europe at the moment seems to be included, but definitely France, Spain, Germany, Slovakia. There was quite a few that were on the list. I think more were than weren't. So it is true.
Well, thank you for clearing that up. As I say, it was a timely appearance, and we're glad we're able to back that up, because we ran it as our news story yesterday. And we know what it's like on Facebook, all sorts of reaction immediately. And there's no need. Why would we be scaremongering? There's no need for us to do it.
I don't actually ever very rarely look at Facebook now or Twitter because, even stuff that you think is proper news sometimes can be fake news. It's best just do research yourself. And if you're in doubt, just phone up the provider. Just phone up Barclays. They will tell you. And we've also got, if you want to carry on with banks, we've also got the prospect of maybe negative interest rates in the UK.
Right.
So if you do have a deposit in the UK, you may be charged to hold a deposit account. And also, lots of people have NS&I, National Savings and Investment Bonds. They're government bonds like premium bonds and the over 60s guaranteed income bonds. Well, they've announced that they're cutting the prizes down on the... so the odds from you winning have gone from 24,500 to 34,500, and the interest rates have dropped. So most of the interest rates, if you've got a 3-year or 5-year term, your interest rate will stay as it is till that's up, and then the interest rate is going to 0.01%.
Wow.
The same as the banks. So, and we're not sure, NS&I at the moment, you can hold them if you're overseas, but as I said, who's going to want to hold them? It's a secure way to hold your money, but if you're getting the same as the bank, 0.01%, what's the point? So it's a double whammy for savers, really. If you keep money in a bank account, you could be charged. If you go to somewhere like NS&I, your interest rates are going to fall to practically zero. It's a tough world out there at the moment.
It's just fun. Whenever you mention premium bonds, I was thinking, it just reminds me of my nan buying me some when I was born.
I've got like a little card with a number.
I think they're about 10 pence or something.
I think one was about 1p.
But they are still going. Clear that up. Not fake news that these UK bank accounts can be shut down. And we've just had confirmation
from Barclays that at the moment it's just their Barclay cards that they're closing. And if they are going to close your accounts, they'll advise you in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So the letter I saw was for a Barclay card. So it's credit cards at the moment, but if you actually look at all the news, it could be bank accounts as well. So as I said, it's best to take measures now. Open yourself another bank account with someone who won't be closed down, just in case that catches you short. So it's better be prepared.
Because all the branches, they just sort of disappeared a couple of years ago, didn't they? With because you used to have the Barclays down the road here.
Sold out.
They sold them all off.
See, what it was you had Barclays, the parent company, and Barclays Spain wasn't part of Barclays UK. It was a separate entity. Same with Deutsche Bank, and they sold them off and closed them down. We used to have Halifax here, we used to have NatWest, we used to have Barclays. They all closed down or sold off their subsidiaries. They did the same in other countries as well.
So you said, as far as financial products and the like, nothing's really on the table, nothing's been sorted as far as Brexit goes.
So it could affect pensions. What we've got is, usually if you live in Spain and you transfer your pensions, you have two options. You have a SIP or you have a CUROPS. So a CUROPS is a qualified recognised overseas pension scheme, and a SIP is a self-invested personal pension. What happens is if you move to a CUROPS, you are then outside UK tax jurisdiction. So you don't pay tax in the UK, you get it paid gross and you declare your tax in the country you live in. However, I did read something from an IFA, I don't know where they came from the other day, saying that if you moved into a CUROPS, you escape UK jurisdiction altogether. You don't, because a CUROPS has to be recognised. To be a CUROPS has to be recognised by HMRC and has to abide to certain rules that HMRC put down. So it has to have the same retirement date as in the UK. It does allow for slightly more of a lump sum, but in most countries a lump sum is not tax-free, so it's irrelevant. So really the reason for a CUROPS is just because you're not liable for tax in the UK. You're giving your money gross and then you pay tax. But with a SIP, you can opt out. You get an NT tax code, and then you're no longer liable for tax in the UK. You again get paid gross, and then you declare it here. The difference is a SIP is still governed by death rates. So if you die after 75, your pension goes into your estate, and it can be taxed up to 45%. Whereas with the CUROPS, it's outside that. And also, if you're near to the lifetime allowance, Lifetime allowance is if pensions are valued at more than £1.073 million. Then that's the lifetime allowance limit. So if you're near that in the UK, you get penalties, whereas if you move it to the cure-ops, you don't. We're waiting to see whether the rules will affect cure-ops if there is a no-deal Brexit, because there is also a 25% tax charge on transfers outside the EU. So at the moment, or outside where you live. So at the moment, if you live in the UK or you live in Spain and you transfer your pension into a cure-ops, usually the trustees in Malta, it's all part of the EU, so it's all within a common region. They're saying if you transfer outside, then you could be, so if you live in the EU and you transferred it to Australia, you could have a tax charge. Well, if the UK comes out of the EU, does that mean there's a tax charge? So we're waiting for clarification on that. But what we usually advise is if you haven't been in Spain more than 5 full UK tax years, we're a bit wary about a cure-ops, and depending on your age, we may recommend a SIP. We look at everybody individually, so don't panic. If you've heard any scaremongering stories about now you shouldn't have a cure-ops, you should have a SIP, or you should have a SIP instead of a cure-ops, please don't rush into anything. Please don't panic. And some people are selling cure-ops on the fact that you pay less income because you can get classified as a temporary annuity. I had someone in the other day who'd been advised to transfer all his pensions from a SIP into a cure-ops because he could take his income and pay less tax. Well, he was taking income of under 14,000 euros equivalent a year. And under Spanish tax law, if your income, so this is income, work income, which the pension is included, from one source is under or around not over 14,000 a year, you don't have to declare it, you don't have to pay tax anyway. No. So there was no need for him to transfer from a SIP to a cure-ops. So please be careful. Don't get scared into doing things that you don't know, because remember, and I hate to say this about financial advisors, but they get paid to transfer your pensions, okay? That's how they earn their money. We have lots of people coming to us who've been advised to transfer. We go through with them and we say, no, you don't need to. And also they're being charged very large upfront fees, sometimes 4 or 5% to transfer a pension. And then they've got underlying costs as well. You really need to look in this because costs are key. You've got to keep your costs down so you actually make money. If you look at it, you know, we had the downturn in the markets in March. All my clients now are above the level they were before the fall. That's because the products they've been given are cost effective. They're tailored to meet their needs. They are the right products for them. And please don't be rushed into anything by anybody. Don't be scared. Don't be told that you know, if you do this, you're going to pay less and this, that and the other. Please look into it before you do anything. As we say, we don't know what's going to happen post-Brexit, but at the moment it looks like there's been no agreement on financial products. So we have to be very, very careful what we advise people to do. And what we tend to do is we have a panel of independent experts. So we've got an independent legal expert, independent tax expert. We don't have them in-house because we feel then that negates any independence. And they come in and they will give you their advice. So we are not using our own in-house people to try and make you do something. You go to an independent person, they will tell you the facts, and then between all of us, we will come to the best solution for you. So it's like a roadmap to exit the UK, and that's what we're trying to do for people.
I know you've said about when transferring private pensions before that you'll sometimes look at it and say it's not worth you doing.
With final salary pensions, yes, and also with final salary pensions, I honestly think that we have got maybe a 6-month window before those transferred will be stopped altogether. Really? So please, if you've got a final salary pension with some of the companies that are having problems, like British Airways, huge deficit on its pension pot, offering you hugely advantageous deals to leave. Please look at it now, take proper advice and see if it is worth transferring it before that opportunity goes. Also, look at your pensions if you have a final salary pension and you're not taking benefits. Once you're taking benefits, you cannot transfer it. If you're not already taking benefits, please look at it, see if it's in deficit, see what plans are in place to get rid of that deficit. If plans are not in place or they don't look very viable, then please look at maybe transferring them. But you have to be very, very careful. But there are some good cases now for people to transfer. So there's lots going on out there. The best thing is just to look at your own finances, concentrate on yourself, get your own house in order, and just make sure you are as financially secure as you can be and your finances are in the right place. And if you have any questions at all, you can always email. So you can email BayRadio, all one word, at blacktowerfm.com, or info@blacktowerfm, that stands for financialmanagement.com. Put for the attention of Christina, it will come through to me. If not, studio@bayradio.fm.
That'll do you.
And they will pass it through. You can always phone the office, which is 965058212, or you can go onto the Black Tower website, blacktowerfm.com, go under Spain. If you go down to Costa Blanca, it gives my details. You can send an email through, or you can call us, even if it's not to do with the Costa Blanca. We've got offices across Spain, across Europe, France, everywhere. If you come through to me, if I need to pass it on to another office, I will, or another individual. But please don't worry about anything. We are here to help and to give you guidance. So just email us if you need us, and you can come in for appointments, or we do virtual appointments if you prefer. So it's very, very easy for you to get good financial advice.
Nicely wrapped up. You're so much better at that than me. It's the thing I'm very worst at, is a smooth wrap up like that, and you do it seamlessly. So I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, just close my
time.
eyes. Try and remember the phone number and the email addresses.
Yeah. But as I say, it's handy for us if you use the BayRadio at blacktowerfm.com, so you know where it's come from. And as you say, anything that's come up today, we will, in case you've joined us halfway through or whatever, put this up on the website, Facebook page, and all of that, because we filmed it once again, even despite your protestations.
Oh,
got you on
honestly
camera. But that was an important bit today to cover the UK banks thing.
Accounts.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you are worried about your bank, please just phone them. Just ask them.
Yeah.
You know, that if you've got a letter, then obviously it's happening. But don't worry, if you haven't got one, you can always phone them up. And as I said, NatWest and Santander are on the fence at the moment. They haven't made a decision one way or another. So we'll just have to wait and see.